Hey, everybody. So, I'm supposed to be studying right now, and there's a lot of things on my mind. And so, it's a continuation from yesterday. And as you all know, I have mentioned in many videos to stop the labeling and all the things about starseeds, 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 Marsha. And before starseeds, there were indigos. And it appears a lot of the indigos have sort of been forgotten and replaced by the Starseed Nation. And the fact is, we're all a starseed, okay? Some of us sprout higher, taller, and bigger because someone before us has paved the way. And then some of us don't get to sprout at all because there's a lot of diversions, distractions, intentional obstacle courses to keep those from becoming their God source light by dimming it, tripping it, and getting them addicted, possibly taking them off the planet. So anyway, I want to go out and I want to tell you something that got me last night. And I decided to go ahead and put something on my Facebook, which is Sandra McEllis. Please feel free to send me a friendship. All right? So this is what I wrote. The seeds hitting the planet cannot sprout into their mightiness without the help of older seeds who make sure the soil and the elements have been prepared. The newer seeds need extra dousing of water, sparkling rays of sunlight, love from all of us, in order to cultivate and blossom into the full potential, remembering their God source light seeds with power beyond measure. Let us also band together to help the batches already here. Let us dive in to retrieve those who feel lost, who fell into the labeling of ADD, ADHD, etc., 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 and the indigos were birthed in the 90s. Where many turned away from their divine rights through medication, drugs, and deeper wounds of low self-esteem and self-worth. Many have spiraled and many have already left the planet. Let us intervene before more follow. Let us lift up our hearts and pray and send them so much love. Imagine giving each and every child a divine, unconditional, loving hug and sharing words of compassion. Let us pray and release them from the addictions of all of these labels. Let us lift up our prayers and pour love all over these children, young adults, their parents, teachers, medical communities, Big Farm, whoever contributed to this modality, we now know dimmed many from their source light. Let us start healing through the power of loving prayer. Together we can turn this around, and together we can make change. So put that out. And interesting enough, it's not really circulating on Facebook. But it's not going to stop me. Because the more and more, at one point in time, it's going to hit a wheel and go flying out where more people get it. When I speak, when I do things from the heart, it goes out into the atmosphere, into the air, and it travels everywhere it needs to travel. And I will continue to put it out into the airways for it to travel, regardless if it gets much circulation on social media. Which is why I need each and every one of you not only to like and subscribe and comment to help these algorithms, but I really need you to copy this link and share it with others. We are 1 degree of separation here. 1 degree of separation. We either are directly affected or we're indirectly affected by someone else we know. by these kids that were born in the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, who have been medicated beyond, almost to not being repaired. Some have gone into deep, deep addictions and street drugs and have left the planet. Many more to follow, but the buck stops here. If we can lift up our hearts and begin to just visualize a group of them in front of us and literally putting our hand on our heart and touching each and every one of their hearts, infusing them, dousing them, beaming them with the power of love that we hold to each and every one of them. Watch their coloring emerge. Watch the light come back into their eyes. Let them know they are loved and that they are valued and that they matter. Each and every one of them matter. And as you're dousing them with all of this love, just see the extinguishing of all of the darkness that holds them down, preventing them from seeing their own inner light. Please join me in this prayer of lifting our hearts for this generation that suffers and for the generations that are caring for them. The buck stops here. No more, no more. Learn differently, teach differently. Don't medicate to conform. Teaching these kids when they're young that there's something wrong with them. I am guilty of that with my own child who came in an extremely in tune, intact God source self. And I thought I was doing the right thing because I did not want her to suffer as I did. I didn't want her to struggle in school. I didn't want her to struggle through groups of kids feeling different and odd and having no one teach me that that was okay to be different. It was okay if I learned differently. But our schools were not equipped. They were equipped two ways. Majority this way, and when you didn't, you were in the severe this way. There was no in between. So I grew up struggling, and it took me decades into my adult life to understand how uniquely awesome I am. And I vowed that I would help the next generation, and I gave birth to one. But I wasn't aware of the deep, deep degrees of anxiety that that little girl had, and why she would prefer to have been super introverted. And I thought, oh, I just need to help pull it out. We now have kids being born where more of us are seasoned to assist. And that is freaking awesome. Because we can prevent them from exiting stage left or going down a path that's going to struggle. But we have to go back in And we've got to pull out that decade of the 90s and the early 2000s of those kids that are young adults struggling or denying or in addiction. We've got to help them. And one of the ways to help them is to bring awareness to this topic by sharing this video, to bring awareness through your heart center and praying for all those you haven't met yet. Because you don't know if your neighbor's kid's going through it. You don't know if the young couple next door had struggled and is still struggling, but is in denial of where they are. You don't know. You hear on the news so many people dying of overdoses because they thought they're going to go out and get high, but they were taking a quick exit to the step to the other side, never to come back, and causing more grief, anxiety, depression, sadness, suffering to those they've left behind because they didn't understand how to help. Or they thought they were helping by exiling or whatever. There's a lot to all of this, guys. There's a lot to all of it. And we have to step up. Excuse me, I have hair. We have to step up and we have to help. We just have to. We can leave no child behind. These are our next generations. We got to scoop some of them up, douse them with sunshine and love, unconditional love, and help them get steady on their feet so that they can see that they have value and that they're not alone. So help me. Help me help the others. Help me. Thank you for listening. Thank you. So much love.